Today we're going to talk about real estate, the real estate of real estate. I don't have a crystal ball and neither does anybody else, but there's some interesting data that gives us an idea as to what's going to happen with real estate, kind of like the GPS shows you what's going to happen on the road ahead. Let's begin talking about potato chips. Why? Because you thought you were doing something very unique, and if you go back and look, you were age 14 when you were consuming the most potato chips in your life. And by the way, as an adult, you were buying the most potato chips in your life when you were on average about age 41. So we all think we're doing something really unique, and in fact, we're often working in patterns that we just don't recognize. We'll dig a little further. So when we look at residential real estate, let's look at it through this lens. If you were in a country like the US of A, and you found 76 million people came into the equation called the US of A out of nowhere to meet all that demand, what do you think prices would have to do to accommodate all these new people literally coming out of the woodwork who have to find some place to live? So let's look a little further at what's going on with real estate. And I think it's helpful just to look at how we got to eating potato chips so much. It's helpful to see what the patterns are in place in the US of A in terms of when we buy our houses. And the answer is that 31 is the age at which most Americans bought their first house. Go back and look, and how old were you? And I'll bet you it was the early 30s. 41, 10 years later, is when most Americans bought their biggest house. I'm not sure what happens, but maybe the house gets too small because the kids get too big and you just think you need more room. So now let's look to see what's ahead for 76 million people. So we want to be ahead of the curve as opposed to behind it, because it's much like being on a hiking trail behind a herd of cattle. I don't know if you've ever done that, but I have, and I want you to know when you're in the middle of the herd or the back of the herd, the view and the smell just don't change. So it only helps when we're ahead of the herd. And what we're suggesting is that you look to see what's on the road ahead relative to the demand for real estate when apparently it is age 79 that most Americans sell their homes. And here comes 76 million people roughly age 54, 55 to 72, 73. So what we're really talking about is looking at your options, and sometimes we get very comfortable and we don't make movement, and then things change dramatically and it's an aha moment, and oftentimes that's not very fun. And what we want you to think about is if 76 million people are going to take about 20 years to go to heaven and leave 130 years worth of real estate inventory on this good green earth, where do you imagine prices might go? If you're an investor looking for an advantage, look no further than Investor's Advantage. You're welcome to visit our website, ybpoor.com, to join us at our workshops and see how we might be on your side to help you do what it is you're trying to do, no matter what happens. And that includes planning for the unforeseen in 2019.